Calling all lovers of mystery and fans of a good story. If you haven't already heard me talk about June's Journey, you're in for a treat. It's time to don your detective hat in this free hidden object mobile game that delves into the captivating journey of June Parker, a self-proclaimed detective on a quest to unravel the mystery surrounding her sister's untimely death. In June's Journey, you get to play as June, deciphering clues and unveiling secret plots within thousands of beautifully illustrated scenes. And did I mention it's set in the glitzy 1920s? New chapters are added weekly, so you will never run out of new thrills to uncover, and you can also personalize and decorate your very own Orchid Island where the story takes place. How sharp are your detective skills? Find out when you download June's Journey on your Android or iOS device, or play online via Facebook Games. Your detective journey awaits.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Burntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I uncover the blasphemous truth of a plague-ridden world, that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Burntwine, coming January 2nd, wherever podcasts are available.
What's going on, everybody? It's Mercedes Terrell from Bellator MMA.
Hey, this is Billy Howardell from The Perfect Circle.
Hey, I'm Adam Carolla.
Hey, this is Max from the Arkells.
Hi, this is Tina Stoll. I'm a driver in the NHRA.
Hey, this is Dallas Smith.
Hi, I'm Commander Chris Hadfield.
I'm Danny Danko. I'm the Senior Cultivation Editor for High Times Magazine.
Hey, guys, guess what? I'm Jake the Snake Robertson. You're not. Yeah, bad break for you. You're listening to the Toddcast podcast, like you didn't know.
And with COVID-19 affecting life as we know it, we took advantage of the pandemic's mandated quarantine time. And we did a ton of interviews over the last 4 months. They've all been posted online, the full-length interviews, but that's it. None of the guests in the last 4 months have been featured on our weekly full-length podcast. And that changes starting this week. Some fantastic interviews, great conversations, including Doug Maclean, the former head coach of the Florida Panthers and the Columbus Blue Jackets, former Sportsnet personality as well. You'll hear 10 minutes of that interview about midpoint of this week's podcast. And XXX film star Sarah Vandella is a guest this week too. She and I follow each other on social media, and she's cool. I'll let you know about this week's musical guest in just a second. Coming up in about 15 minutes in Listen to This, CJ Ramone. You're going to love the story that he shares about playing his first show with the Ramones. That's powered by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley. RV repair service, ICBC accredited. Find them online through TedcoRVSuppliesInc.com. First, our first guest of three, this week's musical guest, anti-flag singer Justin Sane. Brought to you by the Railway Stage and Beer Cafe, 579 Dunsmuir, downtown Vancouver. Hopefully they will be opening up soon, and we can get our live podcast shows up and running again. You'll know Anti-Flag by their politically charged lyrics and activism. They focused on human rights. They're known for their advocacy of Greenpeace, Amnesty International. Recently, they've shown support for the global Occupy Together movement. They're from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They formed in 1988. There was a quick hiatus about a year later. And then in the early 90s, you started seeing them releasing albums. They're known for putting their own festival together as well, Anti-Fest. They've toured with all the punk bands worth touring and mentioning. This was a good talk. This was supposed to be for their show back in Vancouver, April 1st, I think it was. Maybe first week of April. They were going to play the Wise Hall, and that would have been insane. No pun intended. You can hear the full talk right now at our iTunes podcast page, Spotify, SoundCloud as well. Search it out through Toddcast Podcast. In the meantime, here's 10 minutes with anti-flag singer Justin Sane.
The Toddcast Podcast.
How old were you when you picked up a guitar and grabbed some buddies and started to actually, bang out some tunes?
Yeah, well, the sister I keep referring to is my sister Lucy, and she kind of was responsible for me playing guitar. And originally, she helped me buy a drum set from a local band called Car Sickness. They were like a local punk band. So I started as a drummer, and then she bought me a guitar when I was about 15. and electric guitar, and I just kind of went from there with guitar. And about the same time, I saw the movie Another State of Mind, which, if you've never seen it, it's like an hour-long documentary about, a group of LA punk bands that drive across North America. It was Social Distortion and Youth Brigade. They're both bands from LA, and they bought a school bus, and they all pile in the school bus, and they
awesome.
Put together like a DIY punk rock tour in 1982.
Wow.
And that, I'd never heard music like Social Distortion before. And it was their Mommy's Little Monster era. And the guitar playing of Mike Ness just really captured my imagination. I was like, wow, I want to learn how to do that. So that was, Mike Ness was like my earliest influence pretty much on guitar, as far as like wanting to learn a style, the style that I probably play most today.
Yeah.
And then that movie is really amazing. I mean, they go through all of Canada. They go to DC. They stay at the Discord House with Minor Threat. It's an amazing like time capsule of what was happening in early punk. It's a really interesting movie. And then our drummer, Pat Dedek, he was my best friend, and we both saw that movie together, and we were like, let's do that. Like we're going to buy a school bus. We're going to do that. So, and so it was kind of all kicked off from about that time.
Yeah, and especially like 1982, nobody was doing that shit.
No, literally, I mean, they made it up. I mean, they were such pioneers of like touring punk bands. Like they kind of had to just piece it all together as they went, and trying to get a phone number from somebody who knows somebody in the next town, and and that was how a lot of bands toured in the old days. When we started touring in the early to mid '90s, we would do the same thing. I mean, you'd be out in the van and play a punk house somewhere, and didn't really even have another show booked, for like the next week. And you just talk to people there, and they'd be like, oh, we know these people in this next city. Here's their number, ask for Scuzz,
Yeah.
And like, you'd call, and, he's like, yo, is Scuzz there? And he's like, yeah, it's Scuzz. And
nice.
be like, oh, I got your number from Billy in Milwaukee. He said to call you, we're coming through town, and could you organize a show? And, somebody would set up a show in their basement for you, and that's how a lot of bands did it in the early days. Now, of course, there's the internet, and it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I don't wish that back. I don't wish that back for anybody. I mean, there was a lot of uncertainty and a lot of debacles, but that was part of the fun too.
Yeah, totally. New Anti-Flag 2020 Vision. It's been up for about a month now. You guys are past the 3-decade mark, which is insane. No pun intended. Does it get easier to write and record Anti-Flag records over the years?
Yeah, I would say it does. I mean, for a lot of reasons. I mean, for one reason, we're just better at our instruments. We're better at writing songs.
Better songwriters. Yeah.
Excuse me, I take a drink of water here. Yeah, I mean, when you do something for a long time, hopefully you get better at it. So
that's the goal.
Right. So, I mean, what may have taken me, 5 hours to record a guitar track on a record back in the old days, I might be able to do it now in 20 minutes, so and it sounds better than it would have back then. Right. So that's just a result of practice and getting better. And so just from a technical side, it's a lot easier to record a record because we're just better players. And then there's also, the technology has changed so much. I mean, you can make a mistake now, and it's not a big deal. I mean, back in the old days, if you're recording the tape and you had to play it perfect, there was no, sometimes like you would literally have to play the song all the way through from beginning to start or beginning to end, and not make a mistake.
And now you can just be like, you know what, we'll punch that in now. Don't worry about that. Let's do it again.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Justin, when I mentioned on social media that you were coming on to be a guest, of course, lots of Anti-Flag fan questions, and I want to make sure I get through those.
Cool, yeah.
Mike is wondering, when you find time, what are you currently binge watching?
Well, because the new Star Wars movie came out, The Rise of Skywalker, I kind of went back and I've been doing a lot of Star Wars. And I actually watched The Rise of Skywalker again last night. I've been on tour in Europe for a month, and I just got home. I've been home about 24 hours now, so right. I'm just kind of winding down and watching whatever I want to, and hanging out with the dog and being lazy. So, and I'll get back to real life tomorrow, but I'm taking a day off. So, so right now I'm kind of like in a total Star Wars mode, which is pretty dope.
Which is the best Star Wars movie?
I think it's the first movie of this current trilogy, which is, The Last Jedi? So it's the first movie with Rey.
Yeah.
I think it's to me that's the best out of all the Star Wars movies. I think that one, because Han Solo comes back, Princess Leia comes back, the Millennium Falcon, Chewie. I mean, and the new characters are just so strong. So for all of those reasons, I think with Finn and Poe and Rey, BB-8, it's like they brought in all these really great new characters, and they brought back these really strong, amazing characters. And at the very end, the cliffhanger, she finds Luke Skywalker.
Right.
It's like, holy shit! I mean, it has it all.
That surprised me, man. I honestly thought you were going to go, New Hope, maybe Empire. I don't know. That's a surprising answer.
I really enjoy the old ones. I think they're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I don't, and I'm not like somebody who holds Star Wars to a high standard. I mean, I think Star Wars movies were meant to be fun. They weren't meant to be, critically acclaimed masterpieces of drama.
Yeah. Have you checked out the Mandalorian? Have you watched that on Disney Plus yet? Because that's good.
I haven't got around to it, but I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Trevor writes, your band is well known for the political activism. What do you make of today's U.S. politics? This feels like a loaded question.
Well, I mean, I think it's important to talk about, just in that we're not living in normal times. I mean, we right now have a president that has normalized racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, bigotry in general. Mm-hmm. So, I think it's important that we acknowledge that, so that we can push back against it. And I think it's important for us to state publicly where we stand right now, and to know that, it's not a time where people can sit on the sidelines. I just think that, I don't want to, in 10 years, somebody to ask me, how the fuck did you let that happen? Mm-hmm. And for me just to say, yeah, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't try to push back against that. But, I think the antidote to it in a lot of ways, because our politics is so divisive right now, and it's so ugly, just in the fact that we literally have a president who encourages his followers to commit violence against other citizens of our country,
right?
And people who are different than them. And for that reason, I think the antidote to that is kindness. I think in 2020, it's punk as fuck to be kind, because the status quo is to be a racist, bigoted xenophobe. Mm-hmm. And, making that extra effort, just to be good to the people around you. And, so I'm honestly, I've been making a conscious effort when I'm in public, to be more thoughtful of people, to be more mindful of people. And of course, in my personal life too.
Yeah, well said. As the innocent bystander up in Canada, watching it, it feels like Bernie Sanders could take it.
Yeah, I mean, I always believed that Bernie had a really, really strong chance because of the ground game that he put in place in 2016. And then he just never stopped running.
Musical guests of the Toddcast podcast are powered by the Railway Stage and Beer Cafe. Check them out at 579 Dunsmuir, downtown Vancouver.
There's no highways here, so we walk until the day is done. Make a temple inside yourself and fill it up with the truth. You never be beside yourself this way. Trust me, I know what to do. So many miles I've walked to find my home. Many miles, many bridges I've crossed to be alone. So if I let you back in, then I keep going. I don't need nobody, no savior, but the birds up north are braver. The lesson in the wind is how we can forgive and love again. As much as we hold on to the past, I will never be him again. The pieces all fit, we don't need to try so hard. I got a lump in my throat and I got a fire in my heart. So many miles I've walked to find my home. Many miles, many bridges I've crossed to be alone. So if I let you back in, then I keep going. I don't need nobody, no savior, but the birds up north are braver.
And now, listen to this on the Toddcast podcast.
You'll know Christopher Joseph Ward as CJ Ramone, bassist, backing, and sometimes lead vocalist of the Ramones from 1989 through 1996. He is one of the 4 surviving members of the band, along with Marky, Richie, and Elvis. He replaced Dee Dee, although Dee Dee continued to write with the band. Present day, CJ continues to tour, make new music, and kick ass, take names, and he's a genuinely good guy as well. When he called up, we talked about Ken Burns documentaries, the animated Spider-Man series from the 70s. He shared a story about a head-on collision he had while riding a motorbike. He talked about legalized marijuana, superpowers came up, aliens and UFOs, how Johnny Cash influenced him as a kid. We got into the Beatles and Sabbath, making albums. And CJ talked about what still stands out from playing his first show with the Ramones back in 1989. Listen to this.
Of course, it was hugely overwhelming, but when we came off stage, Johnny yelled at me pretty good for about 10 minutes for making a lot of mistakes and whatnot. So that was about the most memorable part of it. But it was, he was trying to get me to be, to play at a level as the Ramones played at. So
sure. Yeah.
I just kind of took it on the chin and I really did enjoy the show, though.
Mm-hmm.
Leicester, England, September 30th, 1989, my first show.
Listen to this on the Toddcast podcast is brought to you by Tedco RV Supplies in Langley, an ICBC approved repair shop. Find them online at TedcoRVSuppliesInc.com.
What do you think of that? How did that treat you? The band is called Hunting Giants, and a new band for the podcast anyway, a Vancouver band, and I'm digging their sound. That one is called In the Water, and bet your ass when things go back to normal, we'll get those boys playing a podcast show for sure. Looking forward to seeing what they're all about live, because that's what makes the band, right? I played you Small Town Artillery, and their song was The Birds Up North Are Braver. And here's another Vancouver band who've done a pretty decent job of keeping shows rolling during the coronavirus pandemic, playing literally in people's backyards and such, and social distancing, drinks, tunes, and great idea. Okay, Todd's Trolls is coming up in just a bit. You know, the stupid, the mean, the hurtful, but really it's the funny things that people say to what you post and what you see online. Lana Del Rey has a new record out. Yes, chirp, chirp. Steve-O's new movie, Guest House, and tennis's U.S. Open bask in that beautiful spotlight. As always, powered by The Garage, games and geekery in Maple Ridge. It's your place to play. Warhammer, D&D, Slay Trolls, and lots more. Find them online at garagegames.ca. First, let's do this. The second of 3 Toddcast guests this week is our sporting guest, former Columbus Blue Jackets GM and coach, Doug Maclean. Doug started coaching at the University of New Brunswick in the 80s. Then he was the assistant head coach for the St. Louis Blues and Washington Capitals. His first pro head coaching position was back in 1990 behind the bench for the Capitals' AHL affiliate, the Baltimore Skipjacks. Great name. Hey, everybody's got to pay their dues. As you know, he would eventually go on to be the coach for the Panthers, the head coach. Perhaps a role he's most known for, actually, leading them to the Eastern Conference Championships in 1996. They would, of course, get swept by the Avalanche in the finals, but still. After the Panthers, Doug was hired as the Blue Jackets general manager in 1998. They didn't make the playoffs in his 6 years with the club. Ouch, what happened there? You've seen and heard Doug on sports radio, specifically out east in Toronto. The Fan, why did I say it like Toronto? In Toronto, the Fan 590. In 2009, he was on Hockey Central Radio. He was on Sportsnet as well. Did a great job there. I mean, I could go on and on about his accolades, but ultimately you'll hear about all of it in the interview. The full conversation is definitely worth hearing. Search that out through Toddcast Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, the Dean Blundell Podcast Network through deanblundell.com. Till you hear that, here's 10 minutes with, among other things, former Columbus Blue Jackets GM and coach, Doug Maclean.
The Toddcast Podcast.
What was the toughest thing about transitioning from coaching to being a sportscaster?
That was it wasn't much of a transition because all it was I got more sleep at night, and I was in a basket case most of the time, and I didn't wake up every morning wondering how much my owner hated me or how much the fans hated me or what bad news I had to give people. So, I'll tell you what, it was, when you're an expansion general manager in the NHL, I mean, being a general manager on a good team is one thing, being a general manager on an average team, but when you're a general manager of an expansion team, and it was a tough expansion time because 4 teams come in over a 2 or 3 year period, and it was it wasn't typical of the Vegas or Seattle one, so it was a grind, let me tell you. And I was in Columbus for 9 years, and it obviously I was there before we started to play, but I think 6 or 7 seasons of playing, and it wasn't easy, I'll tell you that. But you know what? It was an experience that you'll never forget. I started a franchise from scratch. When I moved to Columbus, it was just a gravel pit where the arena was going to go, and we built the arena, and we staffed up over 200 people, and we started a franchise. It was a pretty unique experience. So it's something I'll never forget, and it was something I'll always relish.
Obviously, that's something you'll never get not never get the chance to do again, but it's certainly something that's very unique for your world, for sure.
I think the one thing that's frustrating to me as a guy that was 22 years in the NHL, I got to be a head coach of a NHL expansion team, and I got to be general manager of an expansion team, and it sort of pisses me off. I never got to be a coach or general manager of an established team. I see some of these guys like Mark Crawford go through 4 teams or 5 teams, and all of them are good teams. I'm thinking, like, seriously, couldn't I have had a chance of just one good team once to see what would happen instead of 2 expansion teams?
and they say that winning the Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy to win. Do you agree with that?
Well, it was the year Crow won it. Crawford won it. He beat a third-year expansion team. I mean, yeah, it was a grind. I mean, to go through. I mean, we went through the 7 weeks we got to the Stanley Cup Finals, and it was a grueling 7 or 8 week experience. But one of the the best experiences you ever through with your life. So winning the Stanley Cup is unbelievably challenging. When you look at the teams Colorado had to beat to get to the finals, and the teams we had to beat to get to the finals, it was just unbelievable. And the toll it took on the players and the toll it took on the coaches, it was just an amazing experience. But it really is grueling for everybody, but fun. The best fun you'll ever have in your life.
Yeah, I love watching it. You famously orchestrated the trade with Chris Draper from the Jets to the Red Wings for future considerations, which turned out to be a buck. Which of your trades are you most proud of, whether it was lopsided or you just couldn't believe that it happened?
Well, that was a funny one because, I was assistant GM in Detroit and GM in Adirondack at the time, and Jimmy Clark, who was our maritime scout, part-time maritime scout, called me, and Jim is now he's director of pro scouting in Ottawa. But he phoned me, he said, "Doug, we got to consider this Chris Draper kid. He's playing in Moncton. He's floundering. He's in his third year pro, and it looks like Winnipeg don't like him. And he's a guy that has a chance to be a really good American League player. He's 22 or 23 at the time, and so." I phoned Mike Smith, and Mike Smith said, "Hey, Doug, I really like this kid, but my coach doesn't like him. And I'll do the kid a favor and trade him to you guys for future consideration." So then the league stepped in the fall and said, "Well, you need future consideration." So we made it a buck. So it was a great one. But what happened? We go to training camp, and Chris goes through training camp, has a good camp. And we send him to Adirondack, and he said to me, to me and Brian Murray, he said, "Look, I'm going to go back to Toronto and contemplate whether I'm going to quit hockey. I'm going to go back to Toronto." And so he did, and I phoned Newell Brown, who is with you guys in Vancouver now, and he was our coach in Adirondack. He said, "Newell, this guy, you got to give him a call in Toronto and talk him into going to Adirondack because he could be a real important guy." Newell phoned him, talked him into going. And then in January, Scotty Bowman and I go to Hamilton to watch Adirondack play with Newell coaching, and Drapes scores a hat trick. Timmy Taylor had an unbelievable game. We had also signed him that summer from Vancouver's farm team, and Chris gets called up that night and played 1,150 some games in the NHL and won 4 Stanley Cups. I mean, it was just a great story. Chris deserves a credit. Newell does. Jimmy Clark does. Like, a lot of guys deserve a lot of credit on that, and Drapes had a great career, so it was kind of fun.
All right, let's get outside of hockey and, of course, what you're known for. I just want to rip through a few questions here and get to know you a little bit more. What's the music like in the Maclean house as a kid growing up? Like, what are the bands that your parents are playing?
Oh, my God. My dad owned a bar and a nightclub, and it was a big part of our life, so... I mean, you wouldn't know these names, but Hal Lone Pine played at my father's bar. Alexander Ragtime Reed played at my father's bar. Adam Tamoon. They were all sort of folky rock type of guys, or country. So there was some really, and a really interesting thing, though, my dad's bar was in Summerside, and Ann Murray was a phys ed teacher in Summerside, and one of her first singing gigs was at my father's bar on the weekends. So.
No way.
So it was it was sort of a hot spot in those days, and I'll never forget Dad. He used to be at the bar till 2 a.m, and I used to have hockey practice at 6 a.m, and I'll never forget going in to say, "Hey, Dad, it's time to go to practice." And he would have got home at 2, and he'd lean over to the bed table, and he'd grab the keys, and they'd hit me in the chest at the door of the bedroom. And I was like 13 at the time, so I would drive around and I'd pick up Jim Clark, who later became my assistant GM, but we were like 13 at the time. And Jimmy, as I told you, was involved with the Draper deal. And George Matthews, who became my radio play-by-play guy, he lived in the same block as me in Summerside, and I'd drive the boys to practice. And the cops used to say to Dad, "Jim, you can't let the young fella drive." And he'd say, "Come on, guys, he's careful." That was the old days in PEI,
Yeah, totally different days. And
exactly.
What was your first concert?
Oh, what was my first concert? Oh, my God. I think it might have been, my first conference when I was doing my master's at the University of Western Ontario, and Canada Cup game was on. Really the big game where Lemieux and the big guys made the biggest play of the century on a goal. And I was leaving an Elton John concert at Maple Leaf Gardens with my wife during that game. And I'm thinking, every time I hear about the replay of that great play and that winning goal, I was at an Elton John concert at Maple Leaf Gardens. Like, seriously. Talk about the things you do for your wife, eh?
Doug, with all the free time on our hands, which shows have you been binge watching lately?
Well, we've really sort of focused on Ozark because Jill and I had watched two seasons, and my son Clark come down from Chicago 3 weeks ago, actually, when this hit, because he was off work. So he's been down here. So we had to catch up on Ozark, and so we're just getting ready to start the third season tonight. And then this Tiger thing has sort of occupied everybody's time.
Tiger King is insane.
Whatever it is. But anyway, I haven't watched it. I fought it, but they've been in there watching it. So that's sort of. But we've been picking a movie every night. We did Bombshell. I mean, it's you know what? As terrible as this pandemic is, as devastating as it is, it's, you know, we don't get a chance for our family to be together very often anymore. And Clark's here from Chicago, and my daughter lives 3 minutes from us. So it's been nice to have all of us together during these challenging and awful times. But let's just hope it gets over. But you know, it's been a different type of family time, to be quite honest. You know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a silver lining. 100%. Yeah. Did you get into comic books as a kid? Are you loving all the superhero type movies, the Spider-Man and Deadpool, Batman, and all that?
No, I hate them. I do. I mean, I was more of an Archie guy, you know, Jughead guy. But that's the extent. But I never I did the Batman, I did the Superman, and that was about the extent. And I got to tell you, I can't warm up to them now. I sort of like to go to real type movies, you know, like, you know, I read a lot of James Patterson books, so that pretty well tells you how warped I am, you know?
Right.
Actually, a funny story, James Patterson's mother-in-law lives in my building just upstairs.
Oh, wow.
And so I've gone to a couple of cocktail parties at her place, and James has been the host, which has been kind of weird. Yeah. Last time I saw him, all he wanted to do was talk to me about Rick Nash, because he was playing for the Rangers. Something, and geez, nice. This is a guy who makes $90 million a year out writing books. Why does he want to talk about Rick Nash?
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
Music, sports, entertainment, lifestyle. You're listening to the Toddcast Podcast.
I
Toddcast podcast is powered by Milano Coffee, bringing you the finest espresso and coffee concepts in the world. Online at milanocoffee.ca.
A look at this week's keyboard warriors, Todd's Trolls, on the Toddcast podcast.
The next time you're online, do your best to steer clear of those chirpy garbage comments, the ones that are made to get a rise out of someone or something. It's virtually impossible. No one and nothing is safe, not even Lana Del Rey. 20 million albums sold, over 4 billion views on YouTube, 2 Brit Awards, 2 MTV Europe Music Awards, 6 Grammy nominations, a Golden Globe nomination. Lana's new album, called Chemtrails Over the Country Club, was released this past Saturday, September 5th.
Okay, I'll pay you $50 if you can name one Lana Del Rey song. Just one. That's it. New drinking game. Every time you want to kill yourself because the music is so depressing, drink. No offense, but just because she's hot doesn't mean she can sing.
Have you seen Steve-O's new movie, Guest House? It was released this past Friday, September 4th. Billy Zane, Sean Bishop, and Pauly Shore are also in it. It's about an engaged couple who buy a home, and the jackass in the guest house refuses to leave.
Remember in Jackass when that alligator almost got a hold of Steve-O? Yeah, too bad that didn't happen. What? Pauly Shore is still alive? Who knew? I would rather watch my house burn to the ground, no insurance, than watch this pile of crap.
And a big one for tennis. The U.S. Open is mid-swing, runs August 31st through September 13th.
Take away the hilarious grunting, and what do you have? Nothing. You have nothing. No thanks. There's more excitement watching my neighbor mow his lawn. Peg the ball boy every 4 serves or so, and maybe I'd watch. Maybe.
Todd's Trolls on the Toddcast podcast is powered by The Garage, Games and Geekery, your place to play RPGs, board games, and Warhammer in Maple Ridge. Online at garagegames.ca.
That band is Dead Quiet, and that's a new song for those guys called The Sign of a Sealed Fate, and you can find that one on their new album, which is being released this Friday, September 11th. It's called Truth and Ruin, and a deadly band. I cannot place enough emphasis. They have played for the podcast just an absolutely crushing set. Another band that I would love to get back playing at the Railway for another podcast show, but ultimately I've heard this album about 4 or 5 times now. You need to get a hold of this one this Friday. Now, I played you a new song for Cobra Ramon as well. That one's called Black Mountain. Full disclosure, I don't know if I should mention this or not, but why not? We had them ready to open up the night for Econoline Crush just a couple of weeks back. But with COVID, I mean, it's done a number to the music industry. You're going to see a lot more and more smaller venues shutting down completely if our government doesn't step in and take initiative to keep them around, keep them alive. It's a sad state at this moment, and hopefully that's one you're going to see change for the better in the coming months. Cobra Ramon, by the way, a solid live band. If you get a chance to see them play, make the effort to be there. Speaking of live music, live streamed shows, that's pretty popular right now as well. Check out the indie scene at toddhancock.ca. Slowly but surely, the scene is starting to grow and get more and more shows. Find some of them at our site, or at least the ones that I find and the ones that bands tell me about. Make sure to get out there and support as well. If they're saying, donate to this charity or this venue or whatever, please donate. Brought to you by Mystic Rhythms Rehearsal Studios, 40 plus years experience in the music industry. Find out about the indie scene sponsor at mysticrhythms.ca. Okay, let's get to this week's entertainment guest, episode 225. Adult film star Sarah Vandella, brought to you by Tomes. You need to check these guys out if you have trouble sleeping. The first 7 nights are 100% free at Tomes.com. That's TAUMMHOMS.com. TAUMMHOMS.com. Sarah and I follow each other on social media. She's fun. She's engaging with her fans. Definitely worth the follow. The long and the short of it, her parents were hippies. She grew up in Long Island in New York, started dancing in clubs at 22 years old. You've seen her in XXX movies since 2007, working with the big dogs as well. Vivid, Hustler, Naughty America, Reality Kings. She's been nominated multiple times for AVN Awards, Adult Video Network. The full talk is now posted at our iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud pages. A simple search of Toddcast Podcast. Till then, here's 10 minutes with adult film star Sarah Vandella.
The Toddcast Podcast.
How old were you when you got into making films?
I was 23.
Okay, now was that just a matter of like, well, I love sex, why not make money while I'm doing it?
Not exactly. I was kind of doing 9-to-5 work while going to college, and I just was unsatisfied, wanted something more, wanted to work and have excitement, and I've always been a sexual person, but was kind of shy and didn't know how to express my sexuality or even really channel it for a while. And it wasn't until my very early 20s, maybe 19 to 22, that I kind of started to come out of my shell. And somewhere around 21, I decided to quit the square life, and I slowly kind of started tiptoeing my way into adult industry, starting with dancing and then legal sex work, in Nevada brothels. And then from there, I kind of went into adult film. I always knew that legitimizing myself and doing it the right way was the end goal, but how to get started in that, I wasn't quite sure. And I did some research before dipping into porn, and I called some agents, got some, information, and wasn't quite ready to make the leap.
Okay.
So it wasn't until I was roughly 2 years of doing sex work on my own, through dancing and the brothel work, until I met a girl that kind of introduced me to video work. And then I slowly got into that. And it's been an incredible 13 years. I can't believe how fast it's flown by.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And do you think that there's been a more lucrative time than the present time to make money as an adult performer? You got webcamming, OnlyFans.com. I mean, that must be a great side hustle at the very least.
Absolutely. There's so many more revenue streams for performers to tap into.
Yeah.
And their content to really mean something more than just being booked for a scene. And that's awesome too. And you kind of need both to develop a fan base and a name. And I'm so grateful I came in when I did, because it was still, everything was still about, like, you know, what's being released, and, you know, street titles having a street date. Like, that was a big deal.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I remember, like, streeting next week. Like, that was a big deal. Now it's all just dropping on OnlyFans or dropping, you know, but it's amazing to have these different revenue streams to tap into.
Yeah.
And I am grateful. I am so grateful for that.
It sure seems like adult performers, it feels like they get targeted on social media. Literally, platforms killing their accounts for no reason at all.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up, Todd, because this just happened to me recently, 2 weeks ago. My Instagram account, which had well over 200,000 followers, was deleted because I promoted my Mustang Ranch dates, and they said I was soliciting services for prostitution. Now, and I understand where they're coming from, but all I did was provide the dates I would be at the ranch and an email. And even on email, we're not allowed to discuss rates, and we can't cross the line because it could shut us down.
Right.
It's just a tool to use to get to know clients, get to know their desires, and for us to be better caregivers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a shame. It's a shame that we're being targeted. Instagram deleted me with no warning, and so I had to start over.
And like 200,000 people, that's not
over.
fucking around. That's a lot of people that you just suddenly lost contact with.
And I'm grateful for those people, because a lot of my peers are well in the deep 500K or even well over 1 million followers, like Riley Reid and Kendra Lust, etc.
Right.
And that's awesome. But yeah, I was very grateful and proud of my 250,000 followers, whatever it was.
Yeah. There's a lot of people.
And it's okay. Yeah, it is. It is a lot of people. But I'm just, you know, grateful for you to, you know, talk to me about it, because maybe eventually we can get some sex worker rights when it comes to social media. And
yeah, of course you should. I mean, it's ridiculous that it's even being discussed. Like, why do you think that there's so much scrutiny within the adult film world? Like a few years ago, what was it, Proposition 60, where they were like, you know, all performers need to wear condoms and whatever else that they're going on about,
goggles, and gloves.
Yeah, exactly. And now there's the what is it, like, I love that they haven't given it a name. They've just like AB 6539 or whatever it is.
AB 2389. Yeah, it's absolutely insane.
Which this is now. So at anyone that's an adult performer would have to have a license. Obviously, this includes adult performers, but we're talking like webcam girls, dancers, clip creators, like what?
Content creators.
Yeah, what is
exactly.
that? What is that?
It's just excessive and harmful and miseducation, and I believe that our allies within the industry are communicating directly with this assembly person, Christina Garcia, who is directly behind AB 2389. And this assembly person is, from my understanding, willing and flexible on rewording the license requirements and bill requirements. However, I just don't think she fully understands the type of damage this would cost taxpayers, and that it is still extremely dangerous for us to be on any kind of registry. We a lot of us are dealing with imposters and stalkers and obsessed fans, and the last thing we need is to be worried about getting hacked into a system. And also, like you said, it's every degree of adult performers, and this bill doesn't even mention the adult performers or sex workers from ages 18 to 20. And those are people that can vote here in the States and that can serve our country and fight for war. I just find it to be excessive and just discriminatory to take that choice away from someone who is given responsibility as a citizen and an adult, but when it comes to expressing their sexuality on film, that is a no-no.
I know.
So,
I mean, honestly, as the observer. Let's be honest, we all watch porn. We all do, whatever. We'll go out and party with the boys and have a stripper night.
Sure.
As one of those, outside observers looking in, like it just makes no sense. Like none. It makes no sense. Sarah, I'd love to get outside of, the adult world and of course what you're known for. And I want to get to know you a little bit more here.
Sure.
What was the music in your house as a kid growing up? Like what's the bands that your parents are playing?
Oh my gosh. Like Joni Mitchell, James Taylor, the Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel, Judy Collins, Cream, like just total folky classic rock.
Yeah. You strike me as a big music person, following along on social media.
I love music, and I love all the old pictures that I see on Twitter, and it's my favorite thing to retweet because we don't get reminded of all these fantastic images from so many years back, and
I know, right?
It's nice to see them.
Totally.
It's nice to see them.
And what was your first concert that you went to? How old were you?
My first concert with my family was James Taylor, but my first concert alone was it was the Hole, Courtney Love.
Yeah.
When I was 16, how old was I? Yeah, 17. It was the Celebrity Skin Tour, and it was in New York City. I went, and it was really fun and awesome. That was my first concert I went to. Well, me and a girlfriend. Yeah, so it was really cool.
Yeah, that had to set a bar. At that time, when they were touring that record, they were on fire. Like all rock stations were playing that band.
I know. They had their good years, and I just loved watching Courtney Love on stage and her band, and which was primarily female, if I can remember correctly.
It was, yeah.
And just,
with the exception, I think there was a guy bass player. Yeah, I would imagine it was an awesome night, yeah. And
so that was so cool.
If you had to, if I forced you into it, could you pick your top 5 bands all time?
Sure, absolutely.
Rolling Stones.
Led Zeppelin. Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I'm going to go with Janis Joplin for my last.
Wow. Classic rock world, big time. Is there any...
Total.
Lately, have you been into any of these newer bands?
Here and there. I've been listening to a lot of Joe Bonamassa recently. Yeah. I've always loved his work. I'm supposed to see him. Yeah, he's incredible. I'm supposed to see him next week, but sadly, the governor of Seattle has banned any gatherings over 250 people, and so I'm still waiting to find out if that's the concert. Yeah. But
did you hear that the NBA has? Yeah. They're done. Their season is done. They've canceled the rest of the NBA season. The NHL's probably right behind them. Isn't that incredible?
What a time. What a time.
Right?
Entertainment guests of the Toddcast podcast are powered by Tomes, where quality sleep matters. Find out more at Tomes.com. That's TAUMMHOMS.com.
I made too few. I wanna see her, but I got no time. I wanna tell her that I'll toe the line. I wanna hear her voice and know she's finally gotta answer me. We live with
without a doubt, one of Vancouver's best bands. They are Bend Sinister, and a relatively new song for those guys called Shannon. Another casualty of these last 4 COVID months. We'd planned, but we hadn't announced, a Cheap Thrills podcast with their singer Dan Moxon. That obviously got canceled or postponed or however you want to put it. So fingers crossed, once things turn around a little bit, eventually we'll get to that 100, 200 people in a venue again. We'll get to that phase. And I'll do my best to knock something out with Dan. I love this guy's voice. He's a killer player. And I bet you he's going to tell great stories. I will keep you updated, posted on that through social media when we finally nail that down. Looking forward to next week. As a drummer, this was awesome. Jane's Addiction drummer Stephen Perkins is a guest.
But I tell you what really inspires me is those really big shows. And you're playing a song, and you see someone on a bungee jump, 150 yards away. You see someone, they're not watching the band, they're experiencing their day, but the band is you can't get away from it. We're still the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. And I love having that huge platform, those big festivals, to really get, your music, get people spirited up, and they're doing things that have nothing to do with your song. And they might be meeting their next wife, their future wife, or they might be having a reunion with someone they haven't seen in 30 years, and I love being part of that experience and bringing, the music is a reason to be there, but it's not exactly the only thing that's happening in their life. But yeah, I've seen some crazy shit. I mean, Perry is such a great front man because he's in the moment. He doesn't, you have to keep an eye on him when you're playing the songs because it's not verse, chorus, guitar solo. It's what's happening in the moment, and then respect that, and being in a band with Tommy Lee with Methods of Mayhem, and he was singing and playing guitar, and I was on drums.
Right.
We had a one hell of a day. I don't think we belonged there. It was a super heavy metal festival out in Austria, and the band we were doing, Methods of Mayhem, was a full hybrid of hip hop and rock and techno even, and we were not welcome. And shit was coming at us, glass bottles.
Wow.
These people hated us so much they were throwing their full bottles of alcohol, even though they fucking needed to get high. They're like, fuck it, let's just get this fucking guy off the stage. And
oh my God.
We had a guy named Tilo who was actually emceeing with us, and he went up there and was dodging bottles, and nothing hit him. It was like God was blessing him. He went up there and he kept, he was on point, man. He was still on the mic, dodging bottles up and down. He was like a boxer, and that to me still stands out as like unpredictable. What's going to happen? Are we going to get our shit fucking kicked? Are we going to get our ass kicked? Or are we just going to walk away unscathed and talk about this over and over? And Jane's Addiction liked to sometimes plan stuff, but it never went as planned, and that's always kind of fun, and to say, okay, at this point in the song, we should have somebody come out and hang some hooks and suspend and see what happens after they come out and the response of the audience. But I think my favorite moments are with my eyes closed, connecting with the music, and then opening up and seeing people react. And it's not crazy, but it's definitely it concludes my journey in the sense that this is a great thing to do with my life, is to get people to have a good time and to loosen up and to let them disconnect from all the bullshit that we're all dealing with.
Super awesome to talk to Stephen Perkins, the drummer for Jane's Addiction. I think we talked for close to 45 minutes in the full talk. Joining him next week is retired NHL goaltender, 4-time Stanley Cup winner Grant Fuhr, and Canadian radio personality Randy Chase, who is currently broadcasting in Red Deer, another beauty in the industry, next week as well. Of course, big thanks to this week's guest, too, Anti-Flag singer Justin. Dude, can't wait for your band to come back to Vancouver. I will make it a point to come say hi when you guys do. Doug Maclean, thank you for taking the time to be a guest, and thanks for being so cool for the talk as well. Sarah Vandella, you are the best. Thank you so much for sharing the visit as much as you have online. That's super rad. I look forward to your next visit, and I guess we'll see you online. That's going to do it for episode 225. My name is Todd Hancock. Thank you so much for listening. As usual, if you like what you heard, please tell your friends. You can subscribe through iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud. Get us on the Dean Blundell Podcast Network as well at deanblundell.com. Comment, rate the podcast. It helps out with the search results. Toddcast Podcast. Huge thanks to all of our wonderful sponsors. You can find links to all sponsor websites at toddhancock.ca. Sponsor the podcast for as little as $10 a day. There's contact info at the homepage. Let's have a beer, let's have a coffee, and see what's up. Till next week, don't be an asshole, because nobody wants to be around that. Have fun, play hard, and most of all, believe in yourself.
The Toddcast Podcast. Keep in touch with Todd through Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and bookmark toddhancock.ca.
Talmor, Sheshin Marachi. Talmor is my home. My family have worked the land for generations. My gran says the island does not belong to us, but we belong to the island. And we must be ready, for a great evil is coming, and death follows with it.
Listen and subscribe to the latest season of Undertow, The Harrowing, a Storyglass production presented by Realm, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey there, it's Rachel Ballinger, and I am extremely excited to invite you to Rachel Uncensored. It's my podcast where I sit down and get real with my friends and celebrity guests, where we talk about all sorts of topics. And sometimes we might be under the influence when we do so. We cover things from personal stories to hot button issues. And it's the only place on the internet you can find an uncensored version of me. It's a side of me that you might not have seen before because it's not the most family or brand friendly. But don't worry, I'm still sort of slightly a decent human being. If you're intrigued, then make sure you check it out. New episodes drop every Wednesday. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Trust me, you won't want to miss out on the fun and candid conversations we have here on Rachel Uncensored.